Well, I think this is about the 75th or 76th episode that I've done. We started with 100 or 101, and here we are at 209. I've done them, actually 210. I've done them all. I hope you will, if you have not seen them, you'll go back and watch all those episodes. I work really hard on these. Takes me several hours to do these videos. Watching the episode, making notes during the episode, and talking about the episode. I wish I could do this live with you all as an interactive, but there are copyright issues, and I've been. So, anyways, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music going on here. And I also, because I'm a series person, I like to series progression, the characters progression from book to book to book. I like to binge watch a series. We're doing Star Trek Next Generation. It's every single Friday. Been doing it since last September or so. So please check out all the previous episodes. We're in season 5. We're on disc 3, and we're at episode 210, New Ground today. So please hit the like and subscribe. And if you hit the subscribe, could you please stay subscribed for a little bit? Every time I get a rush of subscribers, like if I got, let's say, a miracle happens and I get 10 new subscribers, or actually 5 subscribers, 10 will unsubscribe. So I always end up in the negative category. But this week we're in the positive category. So I want to keep that up. And I just learned how to do shorts. Not just a short that's a short, but a short from a pre-existing. I just learned how to do that this week. What? Come here, come here, come here. Come here. We have a visitor. She wants to say hi. Say hi. Say hi. There you go. There you go. So, we are talking about New Ground, Season 5, Disc 3. New Ground. And it seems we have a visitor. Another little one comes to visit Worf. And Geordie's all excited. I got to tell you, Geordie, this is going to be nothing to what you see in a little while. So we start the episode off with Captain's Log, Stardate 45376.3. We are approaching the planet Valana 3. There's a new method of propulsion known as the soliton wave is being developed. The Enterprise has been asked to participate in one of the first tests of this new technology. Ouch. Oops. So, Geordie is all excited. He's bursting at the skin. He's like, Data, isn't this exciting? We're going to witness a moment in history. And Data's like, every nanosecond in this continuum is a moment in history once it is elapsed. And Geordie's like, no. I mean, we're going to see something that people will talk about for years. I mean, think about it. No more bulky warp engines or nacelles. A ship A ship generates a soliton wave and then rides it through space like a surfboard. This is going to be like being there to watch Chuck Yeager break the sound barrier or Zephyr Cochrane engage the warp drive. I wonder, Geordie, if you'll actually be there to see Zephyr Cochrane engage the first warp drive. Data says it's very interesting. Worf says very exciting. LaForge says, I'm talking to the wrong crowd. And he's like, Donaldson, and he goes off. So, Lieutenant Worf, you have a subspace communication from a transport ship Milan. And he says, transfer it to the station. So, Worf's mother is coming. Um, she says, it's so good to see you. You look wonderful. Is that a touch of gray in your beard? Don't worry, the Rosenko men have always had beards of iron gray. Now she knows he's not her biological child. And Worf knows that too, but she's his mother. She adopted him. She loves him a lot, whole bunches to her little soul. And she says, uh, it's good to, where was I? I lost my place. Lieutenant, let's see. Mother, I hope you don't mind us dropping in on you like this, but when I heard the Enterprise was to be in this sector, we took the first transport and here we are. Is father with you? No, but I brought Alexander with me. I thought the two of you would like a chance to visit. Was like, very well, I will make arrangements for you to come aboard. And she says, good, and they hang up. So then we're in the transporter room, and his mother and Worf have Alexander have arrived. Did you see the look on Alexander's face? Wait a minute. Worf, it's good to see you. You look wonderful. Is that a touch of gray in your beard? Don't worry, the Rozeko men always have beards of iron gray. She keeps saying that. Hello, Alexander. Hello. It's good to see both of you. How long can you stay? Alexander's like, I'm not going back. So I guess we have things to talk about. So him and his mother go to 10 forward. Uh, uh, Elena says, did you see the look on Alexander's face when he saw the play area? He's going to love it here. Worf says, Mother, why does Alexander believe he is remaining? And she orders some tea and she ignores him. And he's like, Mother. And she's like, when your father was in Starfleet, I always had to make sure. Mother, we need to talk about Alexander. Alexander is a fine boy, Worf. He's smart and he's high-spirited, like you were at that age. Sometimes when he comes running through the house and knocks over that big green lamp, just like you used to. And she's all smiling. And he's like, I don't remember you smiling when I knocked over that lamp. Come here. I don't know what it is with her today. This is the first time she's made so many appearances. Well, maybe once when you weren't looking. But when we learned Alexander was to come live with us, we were so happy. The house was so empty since you left, and we thought it was our chance to fill it with the sound of children. But the truth is, Worf, we're getting old, and uh, Alexander is proving to be too much for his parents. Mother, you both have many years. She's like, I don't mean we're ready for the grave, not yet anyway, but we're a little less active. It's harder for us to keep up with Alexander. We're ready to just be grandparents. Alexander needs to be with his father. Worf is like, Ma, that's not possible. I've, job, career, security, the Enterprise, we go to war a lot, we engage the enemy, that kind of situation. And Helena tells him he's been disobedient. And he's like, well, Klingon children are difficult. And she's like, I know sometimes how Klingon children behave because she had you. But she also tells him that he lies a lot. And Elena says he's a boy and sometimes boys take the wrong path. They need guidance. He needs a father. His father to give him that guidance. I have to leave soon. Transport will be leaving for Earth. You must do what you think is best for him. That's all a parent can do. So Worf is trying to engage Alexander in conversation. And it's one of those conversations like pulling teeth. I have a person that has some depression. And so it's like, do you like ice cream? Yes. What flavor? you gotta really pull it. Um, there's no elaboration. Um, so that's what it's like with Alexander. He's like, Worf's like, did you enjoy going to school on Earth? He's like, yes. And he's like, did you like your teachers? And he's like, yes. And he's like, I understand that you lived in my room. And he's like, uh huh. And he's like, good. Not much of a conversationalist, is he? So Wolf is going to enroll Alexander in school. And Miss Kyle says, come in, Lieutenant Worf, very nice to see you again. And you must be Alexander. I hear you'll be coming to school with us for a while. We're excited to have you with us. I know the other boys and girls will be happy to have a new classmate. And then she tries to engage Alexander in conversation. And again, it's like pulling teeth. There's like, you ask him the questions and you get blank looks. And then she asks him for his date of birth, and Worf is like, massively embarrassed that he does not know the date of birth. A little shame on you, Worf. You should know this information. It was obviously in your parents' possession when they enrolled him in school. uh, Worf, you should have known this stuff. This is just a itsy bitsy little detail that you should know about. So the kid finally coughs up that he was born when he was born, and she's like, the teacher knows she's talking to a couple of walls, so she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll get the info from Earth." And then then Worf goes to see Captain Picard for their pre-arranged meeting. And he's Worf, I thought our meeting was for 1100 hours. And he's like, I apologize for being late. I was detained in school. I was enrolling my son in class. I see. Well, Mr. Worf, as you are aware, several new security officers will be transferring to the Enterprise next week. I'd like to discuss. And it's like, Kyle, teacher to Worf. Sorry to bother you again, Lieutenant, but I forgot to mention we need to arrange for a series of placement examinations for Alexander. If you could tell me when. This is not a good time, Miss Kyle. I'll get back to you. And then he's like, Picard's like, I'd like to discuss the specific areas of ship security that I would like. And then it's like, Crusher to Worf. And he's like, yes, Dr. Crusher. He's like, I need to schedule a physical examination for Alexander. I also need his medical records from Earth and the medical records of. This is not a good time, Doctor. And Picard's like, I give up. Mr. Worf, you are not the first officer on this ship to have a new family member. Go take care of your son. Security matters can wait. And Worf's like, thank you, sir. Too much. I don't know if a Worf can handle it. So then we're in the observation lounge, and Jadar says 23 field coils working in concert will generate the soliton wave from this point on the planet's surface. We'll have our test ship towed to a position approximately 2 million kilometers from B'Elanna 3. If our theories are correct, the wave will envelop the ship and push it into warp. Picard said, warp without warp drive. Riker says, they're going to put you out of a job, Geordi. LaForge says, I hope so, Commander. Data says, Dr. Jar, how closely will the Enterprise need to follow the test vehicle? Jadar says, the soliton emits a great deal of subspace radio interference. You'll need to remain within 20 kilometers in order to receive telemetry. Picard says, Doctor, how will you end the experiment? Jadar says, the wave will be directed toward Lima 2, about 3 light years distance. Our sister facility there will generate a scattering field which will dissipate the wave and bring the ship out of warp. I'll be sending you more detailed operational plans within the hour. because says, very well, doctor. We'll contact you again when we finish studying the mission specs. Now, question, how are they actually going to put this into use? They're going to generate the wave, and the ship is going to worf, and there's no way to stop said ship when it gets going. How are they going to put this into use? No ship is going to be near another planet. If they're interfering with, if they're at a war or if they're in a battle fight, they can't. Can they stop and start? How are they going to, stop and start? Who's going to generate the wave? Is the computer going to generate the wave? How are they going to stop the wave? I mean, a wave usually goes to his shore. So there's not a lot of detail here about what's going to happen. They're just going to make the little starship go, but they never actually, what happens out in the real world? In the real world, the car needs brakes, and in the real world, the car needs gas pedal to go. So we can't be dependent on other things to make us stop. So it doesn't seem like a very feasible plan to me at all. I mean, you're gonna let it go, but then someone else has to stop it. You need to figure out how to make the object go and stop on its own. I'm just saying. She's so excited. She's standing there on the bridge waiting for him to come in the room, and then she's running up to her. I'd show it. Copyright issues. Don't want to get in trouble. Worf, I was just talking to Miss Kyle, the primary school teacher. She told me you enrolled Alexander in her class this morning. Yes. I'm sure he'll do very well. She's a wonderful teacher. Good. Did she tell you about the father-son field trip this afternoon? Yes, we cannot attend. Why not? I have personnel review scheduled 1,300 hours. Worf, this would be a good opportunity for you to meet some of the other students and parents. Well, I might be able to reschedule the review. Good, I'll let them know. She manipulates. So, the first thing they do is she's talking about the rhinos and the white rhinos and how they became extinct. We're in the classroom, and she's giving the parents a tour and a lecture. And then they move over to the Gilbrose cage. They are similar to Earth's Draco dragon lizards, which died out over 300 years ago. There are only 14 Gilvos left on Corventu. We're transporting these to protected planet Bertilia, where they should thrive. Why don't you all have a look around for a while, and if you have questions, feel free to ask. And Alexander is very much watching the animals, but then he helps himself to one of the toys on the table, and the teacher comes over and says, Alexander, I'm sorry I forgot to tell you that the models on the table were for everyone to play with, so I guess you don't know you weren't supposed to take them. I saw you playing with the lizard model a while ago. Do you still have it? And Worf is like, are you accusing my son of stealing? He gets all up on his Klingon high horse like any parent would do. And she's like, Lieutenant Worf, I can only tell you that Alexander, did you take the model of the lizard from the table? He's like, no, sir. And she's like, but I saw him do it, and I saw him put it in his pocket. So Worf checks his pocket and finds the lizard. And he's like, he's devastated. Not only did his kid is lying to him constantly. And there has to be a problem. Now, Worf might not see it, but I'm sure Troy does. But Worf doesn't see it. There's obviously something wrong, and you need to find out the reason, the why it happens. There has to be a reason behind it. I'm seeking your attention, even if it's negative attention. I'm still seeking your attention to get your attention. They, sometimes bad publicity is it's publicity, whether it's good or bad, it's still publicity. Just like attention, whether it's for positive behavior or negative behavior, it's still attention that you weren't getting 5 minutes ago. So there has to be a reason behind this. And Worf needs to think about it. And it's Troy that makes him think about it, but we haven't gotten that far yet. This is still a very father son relationship episode. So we'll see. So then Worf is trying to explain things to him, and he's not doing a very good job, but he's doing the best he can because he has not been a parent before. And he's trying to install the honor thing. Honor above all else. Honor is the only thing that's totally 100% yours. And Worf says, a Klingon's honor is more important to him than his life. A Klingon would gladly face the most horrible punishment rather than bring shame or disgrace to his family name. His word is his bond. Without it, he is nothing. Do you understand? And if you notice, every one of my videos, she goes off. Please check my New Year's Eve video out for her identity. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, she stopped at 10. Why did you lie to me? I don't know. Did you fear the punishment you would receive? I don't know. I don't know is a really popular guy. Very popular with the kids. I don't know. It's really popular with the kids. Don't know. You don't know why you lied, and yet you did. You don't know why you stole, and yet you did. Alexander, come here. Worf, when I was a child, younger than you, I lost my parents, my family, my people, everything I was taken from me except my sense of honor. It was the one thing I had which was truly Klingon and no one could take away. Do you know who they are? And he shows him the statues. Kalis and his brother Morith. They fought for 12 days and 12 nights because Morith had broken his word and brought shame to his family. When you lie or steal, you not only dishonor yourself but your family. You dishonor me. Alexander says, I'm sorry, Father, I won't ever do it again. And he does do it again. So he's lying right there. He's not sincere about his apology. So there's obviously a problem here that needs to be addressed. So the Worf and Troy have a conversation in the hallway and then in the turbo lift. And he's like, I wanted to know how the field trip went yesterday. Worf, have you not heard? And Troy's like, no. And Worf is like, there was an incident. Alexander stole a small model and then told a falsehood. But I have remedied the situation. Troy's like, may I ask how? Worf said, I pointed out his error, told him about Kalis and Marath, and explained the value of honor. The boy understood. Troy says, I see. Sometimes these things aren't over as quickly as they seem to be. I'd be happy to help you if you have any further problems. And Worf's like, oh no, that's not necessary. Alexander will not repeat this mistake. I've got it covered. No, nope, 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 nope. Worf, you don't have it covered. He didn't say that. I'm saying it. He doesn't have it covered. Okay, so then we're back on the bridge. Data, the prototype towed in position, Captain. Riker says, initiate a radio link to the ship. LaForge says, link established. Pre-launching telemetry now. Worf says, incoming message from Dr. Jajar. On screen. Dr. Jajar appears on screen. Says, Captain, we're ready to begin the launch sequence. Picard says, Mr. Riker, all science labs standing by. Felton says, oh, and we have an ensign, and she's a female, and she gets a name. almost all the episodes where the ensign is a female, except for the last one. But other than that, all of the females that sat in that chair have had names. Unlike if there's a guy sitting there, they just call him ensign. But if it's a girl, they always have a name. That's just one of those little idiosyncrasies. She's all depressed. So they get the ship into place, and the sensors indicate the field generators on the planet's surface are charging, Captain. The soliton wave has been initiated. It's heading for this test ship. It goes off after the test ship. The test ship has successfully entered warp. Picard says, Ensign engage, and the ship of Enterprise goes into warp. So Picard says, Ensign, bring us up 20 kilometers of the test ship. And Felton says, aye, sir. And LaForge says, telemetry looks good. Soliton wave is steady. Data says the test ship is maintaining a warp at 2.35, sir. LaForge says, that's a little faster than they anticipated, but well within the mission parameters. Felton says, we're at 20 kilometers, Captain. Picard says, Mr. Data, is the wave affecting our warp drive? But Data says, no, the effect has localized to within 2 kilometers of the wavefront. LaForge, Mr. LaForge, what is the power efficiency of the wave? Geordi says, energy transfer is 98%. Riker's like, 98%? He's like, yes, sir, that's less than a 2% energy loss between the wave and the ship. Data says that's 450% more than our own warp drive. Astonishing. Commander Riker, Science Lab 3, begin a series of gamma emission tests. Data says, sir, the wave power is fluctuating. LaForge says the wave efficiency has dropped to 73%. Riker says the test ship's warp field is becoming unstable. Sensors show multiple disruptions. Felton says, severing I'm reading a severe subspace distortion, sir. Data says it's expanding towards us, sir. It appears to be interfering with our engines, Captain. LaForge says I can't compensate for it. Picard says, bring us out of warp. Ensign, all stop. And I, sir, all stop. Riker says, damage report. And the ship goes kaboom, and they all fall off their chairs. And then when the lights come back on, LaForge says, sensors and Geordi are offline, deflectors down to 15%. Worf says several injuries reported on deck 27, no fatalities. Picard says, what happened to the test ship? Data says our readings indicate the craft exploded due to extreme shearing stress. Worf says, incoming mission for B'Elanna 3. Picard says, on screen. Jadar says, are you alright? Was anybody hurt? Picard says, we have sustained some minor damage, but do you know what happened? Jadar says, the preliminary data we received indicate a transient power imbalance. LaForge says, that could be consistent with our telemetry reading from the ship. We detected a sudden drop in transfer efficiency just before the explosion. Jadar says, are you still tracking the wave? LaForge says, no, the explosion damaged our main sensor array, but I think we'll have it repaired in a couple of hours. Picard says, we'll contact you as soon as the sensors are back online. Doctor, you did it. Warp without warp drive. For a while there, it was really something to see. She says, I hope you'll see it next time we try, Mr. LaForge. So do I, Doctor. Now, this is what I said before was, you got the wave going. You got your tsunami coming. But how are you going to stop it? You have no plan to stop. You're having an outside field stop it. The ship needs to be able to stop itself. I don't know why these people didn't think about it. Oh, we're going to send a signal from a planet. What if they're out in the middle of nowhere and there's no planets anywhere? How are they going to stop? They need to be able to stop on their own, you know. So Worf comes to school yet again. He was detained yet again. And the teacher tells him that your son is very bright, very spirited young man for his test scores. I'm sure he'll turn out to be one of my best students. However, his behavior in class so far, I do have some concerns. He's being over aggressive toward the other students. He has a great deal of difficulty paying attention. Perhaps you do not have experience dealing with Klingon children. they require a firm hand. She says he seems to have difficulty telling the truth. He takes the toys from the other students, then denies it, taking them. He acts like a bully and then says someone else started the fight. He has told me bluntly, you said Klingons do not listen to teachers. And Worf is like, I did not tell him that. And she's like, of course not. He's acting on his internal feelings and then making up stories to explain them. It might be ideal for the two of you to sit down with Counselor Troy. And then Worf is like, where is my son? And the computer says he's on holodeck. So he goes to see his son on the holodeck. So Worf goes onto the holodeck, and the kid's doing one of his programs for the beginner level. And while he is proud of his son and what he's doing at the moment, he's still upset with his son for what he has done. He is lying. He took his bat lift without permission. He didn't have permission to use the holodecks. He's continuing to lie to his teachers. He's continuing to lie to Worf. And the kid turns it around and says the teacher hates him, and she's the one making up stories, not me. And so Worf sends him to his quarters, and they just have words. And Worf is like, it's clear to me now that I have failed in my duties as your father. You have no understanding about what it means to be Klingon. Therefore, I will arrange for you to attend a Klingon school. He's not thinking right. The kid wants his attention, and he's doing all these things to get his father's attention, and it backfires. Instead of getting it gets his attention, but not the attention he wants, and now he's being sent away again. His father sent him when his mother died. Then his father sent him away to his parents. His parents sent him away to Worf, and now Worf is sending him away to school again. The kid is being constantly sent away, and I could see this would be a problem. So then we're back on the bridge. Riker to engineering, what's your estimate on engines, Geordi? LaForge says, I need another hour, Commander. I still have to replace 3 power couplings. And I will say this again. They just talk to air. No tapping this. They just go Riker to LaForge and it automatically happens. They just talk to the air. How does the computer know? Computer, contact LaForge in engineering. None of that. None of dialing the number, none of texting messages. Just tells the air. Just starts talking to the air. And then Geordi just starts talking to the air back. So apparently it worked. So Data says, sir, and sensors are coming back online. Good. Beginner sensor sweep for the Soliton wave. Aye, sir. The wave is continuing on course for Lemma 2 colony. It's bearing 020 Mark 329. Riker says, open a channel to Dr. Lejeune. Data says the wave has increased to velocity warp 4.1. Riker says, Doctor, we've located the Soliton wave. It's still on course for Lima 2. However, its velocity has increased to 4.1. Jada says, have you checked the frequency resonance of the subspace? Data says the energy level of the wave has increased by a factor of 12. At this rate, it will have increased by a factor of 200 by the time it reaches limit 2. Will they be able to dissipate the wave? Jada says, Commander, at the energy level, the wave will not only destroy the colony, it will destroy the planet with it. Oops. Telling you, you needed to devise a failsafe, how to turn the thing off if it didn't work. You didn't even develop a brake. So then Worf is in with Troy's office. And he says, are you sure this is what you want? Worf says, it's not a question of what I want. It's a question of what's best for the boy. He'll be better off at a Klingon skull. Have you discussed this with Alexander? He is a child. I informed him of my decision. And she's like, I see. Worf says, you disapprove? She says, I'm not here to approve or disapprove of the way you raise your son. My concern right now is how this decision is going to affect you. How will you feel when Alexander's gone? I will be pleased that he is receiving the guidance he requires. Troy says, is that how you felt when he left to live with your parents? Worf says, that was different. At that time, I felt he needed a home, a family, things I could not provide for him. I understand, Troy says, the idea of raising a child can seem a tremendous burden, particularly to a solitary parent. He was no burden. I simply knew the Klingon child required more attention than I could provide. Troy says, I see. Have you ever wondered how Alexander felt about seeing sent away? He was young. I'm sure he was confused. Do you think he felt abandoned? After all, he left. He left soon after his mother's death, and not only did he lose his mother, but he lost you as well. We argued. What she asked what was the last night with his mother like, and he's like, we argued about what? He said, Alexander, she did not tell me when he was born. So you were angry with her. Worf says, yes. Are you still angry with her? Of course not. Troy said, it would be normal to be angry with her, angry because she died and left you alone with a son you never knew about. Being angry doesn't mean you loved her less, Worf. You can't hide from your feelings, just as Alexander can't hide from his. You both have a lot of healing to do. Perhaps you should think about doing it together. Because, like I said, his mom died, and then Worf sent him away, and then the parents sent him away, and Worf is going to send him away again. Not good. So Worf goes to his quarters, and Alexander's packing. Uh, Alexander says, I'm almost done. Worf says, stop for a moment, let us talk. He's like, why? I want you to understand why you are going away. I understand you're ashamed of me. You do not understand. I'm concerned about your future. A Klingon school will be a better environment for you. Alexander says, you don't care about me. Worf says, that's not true. All you care about is your honor. Worf says, Alexander, if your mother were here, I do not think she would want us to fight like this. My mother wouldn't be sending me away. And then Riker interrupts the conversation. He wants Worf to report to the observation lounge and leaves. So they're talking in the observation lounge. Geordi says the Sultan wave has continued to increase in power. Its energy level has risen by a factor of 96. At its current rate of acceleration, the wave should hit the planet in a couple of hours. Picard says, how do we stop it? Geordi says, well, there are two possibilities. We could attempt to use our own warp engines to generate an inverse sinus wave. If we could match the exact frequency and amplitude of the soliton, we would be able to neutralize it. You don't sound very confident. Data says because the soliton is constantly changing in frequency and amplitude, it will be extremely difficult to achieve an exact match. Lepard says, let's hear the second option. LaForge says, it's a little more dangerous, but I think there's a better chance of success. We could create a backfire explosive set off in front of the soliton wave. A large enough explosion, say 5 photon torpedoes, should be enough to disrupt the wave and allow it to dissipate. Picard says, how fast is the wave traveling now? Warp 6.37, Data says. The good news is we can catch it, Geordi says. The bad news is in order to set up the backfire, we have to be in front of it. Data says, which would require the Enterprise to go through the wave. Why can't we go around it, Riker asks. Data says, the wave has been growing in size as well as power. There is insufficient time for us to circumvent it before it reaches limit 2. Picard says, how much protection will the shields provide us if we attempt to penetrate the wave? Worf said the shields have not been fully restored, and they're down to 33%. Picard says it's going to be quite a ride. Picard says it's a better choice. Let's lay in the course for the silicon wave, and they take off. So they've passed through the wave, and Picard orders them to take them to a relative position of 23 kilometers in front of it. And Riker says, alert sickbay to prepare for possible casualties. Worf says, aye, sir. Data says the wave has increased to warp 7.2. Ensign, take us to warp 7.21. The ensign says, "We're approaching the wave, Captain. Distance 200 kilometers. Let's see it." And they show it on screen. Picard says, "Stand by to increase to warp 7.3 on mile mark." Riker says, "Lead alert. Load torpedo base. Set warhead yield level 16." Worf says, "Aye, sir." "All decks, this is the bridge. Brace for impact. Torpedoes loud. Engage." And then we see Alexander going into the biolab. So Picard says, "Report. We have passed through the wave, Captain. We have dropped to warp 7.2. The wave is directly astern at a distance of 23 kilometers. The Worf says, deflector down to 12%. There are fluctuations in several warp transfer conduits. The tractor beam and the transporter is offline." Riker says, "We have some gaps in the aft shields, Captain. When the torpedoes explode, these areas will become contaminated with ionic radiation. We need to evacuate sections 24 to 47, decks 35 through 38. Picard says, "Make it so." Worf says, "There's a fire in Biolab 4. The fire suppression apparatus is not functioning." Picard says, "Seal off the compartment. Prepare to vent the air from." Data says, "There's a life forms in the biolab." Riker says, "We're transporting endangered animals to Corvan 2. Data says, "Readings also indicate the presence of a humanoid, Captain." Computer, identify humanoid life form in Biolab 4. Computer says, "Life form is identified as Alexander Rosenko." Picard says, "Bridge to Biolab 4. Alexander, can you hear us?" Worf says, "Sensors show he's alive. He may be injured." Riker says, "Can we transport him out of there?" "Transporters are offline," Worf says. "Captain, warp engine power is dropping," the ensign says. "We're losing speed." Riker says, "Riker to engineering. Geordi, what's going on?" "We've lost 4 warp transfer conduits, Commander. The wave is gaining on us," Riker says. "We need more speed. I doubt that I can keep this up." LaForge says, "Much longer. You'd better get those fire torpedoes while we're still in front of the wave." Because says, "Mr. Data, how long before the wave overtakes us?" "At our current speed, 4 minutes, 30 seconds, sir." "Captain, permission to leave the bridge." "Granted, Commander Riker. You will accompany Mr. Worf to Biolab 4. "Captain, Biolab 4 is one of the areas that will be flooded with ion radiation." "Commander, I can't let the soliton wave hit the colony. You have 3 minutes, not 1 second less." So Worf, with his mighty Klingon strength, breaks into the biolab. So they go into the biolab and they rescue Alexander and they rescue the animals that were in there. But it's a tense situation of suspense. And the captain stresses over whether he should release the photon torpedoes and kill his men or not. But Riker at the last second informs Picard that they have made it through and they're clear. And Picard releases the photon torpedoes and everything works out okay. But we get everybody out okay. So we end the episode in sickbay. Crusher says, "You're a very lucky little boy. Just some minor smoke inhalation and a hairline fracture of the tibia. That's your leg bone. I like to keep him overnight. He should be fine by tomorrow. Thank you, doctor." He leaves, and Alexander and Worf have another conversation. Are you going to get in trouble because of me?" Worf says, "Don't concern yourself about that." "Am I in trouble?" "Yes. We will discuss that at a later time. I'm sorry. I promised to be good at the Klingon school. I'll make you proud of me." Klingon schools are designed to be difficult. The physical and mental hardships faced by the students are meant to build character and strength. However, if you wish to face a greater challenge, you may stay here with me. It will not be easy for either one of us. Perhaps we can face the challenge together. Alexander says, "I accept your challenge, Father. I will stay." Worf says, "I believe your mother would be pleased." So he gets to stay. So we have finished new ground. So last week we did A Matter of Time with the fake time traveler. This week we did New Ground. Next week we'll do Hero Worship. And the week after we'll do Violations. I hope you will go. If you have not watched the previous episodes, please go back. We did the reunification with Spock and Sarek, and we also had Wesley Crusher visit before that with the game. So I'll help you check out all those previous episodes, and I hope you will continue to join me every single Friday for Star Trek Next Generation Day, and I hope you will stay tuned later this afternoon for my If Then. If you like this author, then maybe you like that author. Please hit the like and subscribe and let me do a good job. And thank you for sticking with me. Thank you.